So, welcome back to another episode and another season of the Bagels and BICEPS podcast. So, firstly, apologies for not bringing the podcast out more often. As you might know, I've got another podcast with Joe Neal Fitness and Dave Mercer, and that is the Little Lifters. So, I've been doing a few of them with them two guys throughout the end of lockdown, and I've sort of neglected this podcast. So, not to worry, we are back, a new season now that lockdown's over and there's some sort of normality back. Then we can start talking and cracking on with, fitness related stuff, mindset related stuff, and general topics day to day and week to week. So in today's topic, I just wanted to go over a couple of bits that, I sent out the questionnaire, a question box on Instagram, and I wanted to answer a couple of questions that people had regarding, their journey so far. So the main thing I want to talk about today is consistency. So some of you might be bored of me saying this all the time, but honest to God, consistency is the most important factor in anyone's fat loss journey, gaining muscle journey, day-to-day, business, work life, personal life, whatever it is. Just being consistent and turning up day in, day out will get you the results instead of trying to focus on being perfect at everything. Perfection's a weird one. It's not really a thing. What is actually perfect? What is actually optimal? It's so different for every single individual, but the one thing that is the same is consistency. So one of the questions I did receive yesterday on the poll was any tips for staying consistent on a day-to-day basis when trying to reach your goals. This is when motivation goes up and down. So a few tips regarding staying consistent, and the one big one is purpose. Purpose always comes to mind. So why? You're understanding why you're doing what you're doing in order to get there. What is the reason you want to make that change, whether it's fat loss or whatever? Why have you decided to, start coaching with someone, start entering the gym, start fixing your nutrition, whatever? What is the trigger in order to do that? Majority of the time, people don't like where they're at and they want to make a change. Without, making a change to your life, you will stay the same. So, first of all, be grateful, be thankful that you've made a start or a change in yourself in order to become the better person or the better version of yourself, should I say. So, consistency always starts with purpose. So, every time you come to these days, because motivation, we know this, that it doesn't stay around. Motivation's more like, I'm pumped, I'm going to the gym, I've got motivation, but that's not going to happen every single day. A couple of days last week for me, for example, motivation was dipped in the gym just due to fatigue. I was tired, take a step back. But the motivation for me to actually go to the gym and get a session in wasn't there as much as it was this week. So that's more like a wave. That'll often come and go and dip in and out all the time. So that's why we should never really rely on motivation. The one thing we should rely on is consistency. So ticking boxes is the biggest thing. So once you've found, or you should understand your purpose, that should stay at the forefront of your mind. So the purpose for me, for example, would be like confidence with a lot of my clients as well, is not being happy where they're at. They're not happy with their day-to-day life. They're not happy in their relationship with the way they look. They don't want to wear clothes when they go out. They don't want to go to the beach and be that person who's, not in shape or whatever it is. Everyone's got their own little purpose, and it goes deeper than just losing weight and toning up, for example. There's got to be something deeper, more emotionally attached, that's going to make you stick around and stick to it. For me, coming into the industry, I wasn't a big lad. I wasn't, overweight, or I wasn't, obese or anything like that. I was more the opposite. I was very skinny, very slender, but very tall, so you'd call me quite lanky, would you say, or I'd call it. And my purpose getting into the industry and getting into the gym was because of confidence. At that age when I started, 16, 17, 18, whatever, you're going out, you're seeing girls, that sort of thing. I didn't want to be that skinny guy who had no muscle mass or even had a little bit of a dad belly. If you know my nutrition, you'd know why. But going back to that, the reason I started was just due to confidence, and that's a lot of people's trigger points when it comes to starting something like your fitness journey or a coaching journey or whatever it is. Always starts with that. So the purpose for me to continue to go to the gym 5 days a week, came from that, why. I'm not just going there because I want to get big muscles. The purpose behind that is that I want to be feeling more confident. I want to be able to fit into a t-shirt better. I want to be able to go on holiday, or go on a lad's holiday or a family holiday or whatever, and be able to take my top off and be proud of where I am and how I've got there. And that's sort of been my ethos with me, is that I'm never gonna be the biggest guy in the world, because I just don't want to be there. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. That's not what I'm here for. I'm a coach now, the first hand, and I dabble in a little bit of training. I'm not a bodybuilder who sometimes coaches. I am a full-time coach. That is my job. That is my business. That is my motivation. And I train. I dip into all aspects of fitness now. That's my motivation. My motivation is to train, practice what I preach towards my clients. So obviously your purpose often changes, but going back to consistency, that should be at the forefront of your mind, the purpose and why you're doing it. So in order to be consistent, you just need to turn up and tick the boxes. So, a box for me, would be, say you've got 5 boxes that you want to tick. One would be steps, how active you are on a day-to-day basis. One could be just tracking nutrition. Doesn't have to be, again, optimal or hitting that protein and macro targets. Just actually tracking could be the first box to tick. So that's steps. You could track your food. You could set yourself a goal of how many sessions you're going to train this week. I'm going to train 3 or 4. Say 4. That's box number 3 ticked. Number 4 could be hydration. I'm going to drink 2 litres a day. And then number 5 could be something like half an hour to spend on myself. So that could be a walk, so you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone with your steps and your mindset, or whatever it is. These just tick a few boxes that can be ticked. And the idea is to turn up and tick these day in, day out. So again, you're not going to be optimal straight away. You might have 5 boxes to tick. You're not going to tick them every single day. But if you come to me and you're ticking 1 or 2 boxes at first, then later in the week that ups to 2 or 3. Then next week that goes 3 or 4, and then 5, and then you start to set new boxes to tick. And just being consistent with them 5 boxes and getting better day in, day out, 1% better each day, trying to tick a box per week or whatever it is. Doesn't matter how fast it is, it's just about being consistent. Will overdo any sort of results you get rather than being perfection. So the more consistent you are, the better results you get. Same with being compliant. With the coaching service, I can track exactly who's doing what they've missed doing. Are they tracking? Are they doing sessions? Are they uploading steps? Whatever. The people who track the most data or the most compliant to the program or to the plan get the best results. It goes without saying. It's absolutely bang on the head. So yeah, consistency with that, with ticking boxes. And then you've just got to be in it week on, week in, week out, week out. Week in, week out. Yeah, week in, week out. That's what we're going to be doing. Is staying consistent every single day. So yeah, sometimes you might not feel like it, but we know that a habit is created roughly on average in about 66 days. So you think about it, that's 2 months. That's 8 weeks of solid work. Again, ticking boxes, building them habits. Once you've built them, them solid foundations, you're tracking your food, you've nailed it, you're tracking your steps, you've nailed it, you go in the gym. Again, you're not optimal in your sessions, but you go in the gym, you're doing what you can, you're getting better every single session. You will get the results from that. So once you've started to slowly ingrain them habits and behaviours into your lifestyle, then you can focus on adding some more in. So I like the one from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Again, client or coach, you should read it. It's good about the psychology of a human, but like the likes of habit stacking, which just basically means, once you've got one habit in place, I hope all of us brush our teeth twice a day. That's a necessity, but that's a habit. Before you go to bed, you go in the bathroom, you might wash your face, you might do whatever, but you do brush your teeth and then get in bed. So what I'd always use the example of is like supplements, for example. So a lot of people, they might have a multivitamin. I've got one now, which I do often forget to take because, again, I haven't put it next to an existing habit. But what you can do is, every time you brush your teeth, you know that you've got to take a vitamin. So you're linking a new habit to an existing habit, and it comes a lot easier to remember to do it. And again, when that becomes automatic, usually after a couple of months, it could be quicker, it could be longer, depending on the person, then you'd add another habit in. So, and this just builds and builds and builds and becomes a morning routine, a daily routine, a lifestyle change, and a mindset change as well. So that's why I'm always banging on about consistency. It's the most important factor when it comes to anybody's journey. I don't know how good you are at doing something. If you do it every day and you get better at it every day, you'll get well better results than someone who does it occasionally and dips in and out of their journey. So hope that clears some things out with consistency when reaching your goal. But the number one thing to think about, again, just to reiterate, is the purpose. What is your purpose? You've got to understand your purpose, your goal, your motivation of where you're trying to get to. So yeah, hope that helps. The second question that I did get asked is training through an injury. I'm guessing how to train through an injury. And this is something that you'll often come into contact with. Especially if you are a beginner, usually you are weaker in, I wouldn't call it an injury as such, but when you start training, I've had it with a lot of clients who have never been in the gym before, you start to feel sore, or you might have a few niggles here and there that are affecting your progress, such as it might be your lower back, or it might be something else, hamstrings really tight. And that just comes down to, something that's happened over time. So tight hamstrings is often a big one. I'm pain in the lower back. Why? Due to the likes of these chairs. Well, this chair is a good one, but a shit chair basically, and you're sitting in this position for a prolonged period of time. So whenever you're trying to put your hamstring through a full range and you're trying to extend it, it's weaker in them areas. So that's going to be an effect. But what you can do is you can sort of train around that, no problem. So first would be identify what the issue is, or the injury. If you've been diagnosed with someone that, you've done this, or you've pulled this, or it's a pull or a tear or whatever, there's a little bit different. But first off would be find out what it is that you've actually done. Is it muscular? Is it serious? Is it 1 out of 10 pain? Is it only painful when I lift something up? Is it painful when I'm walking around day to day? Whatever it is, find out what's going on with that. From, someone who's a professional, again, you just load out their coaches and stuff like that, or don't Google it because it'll tell you all bullshit. But if you've been seen by a doctor, then they'll know what's going on. From there, then you can identify what to do with it. So usually any injury can be trained around, apart from, I would say, back, because the back is like the pillar. It's the base of your full body. It is the trunk, and everything stems off that. It can be hard. Any sort of movement tends to affect your back. So with that, again, it's just finding stuff that you can do. The good thing about gyms is that, if you've got an injury somewhere, you can always change it to a machine. So with me, for example, if my client comes to me, for example, I use a client and says, I've got bad knees, I've had this issue with my knee. Obviously, first you would address it. You wouldn't just try and, work past it. You'd address what the injury is, plus a little bit of rehab on it and stuff like that. But you'd also make it easier for the client in order to get the results they want while working around an injury. So if you came to me and said, I've got bad knees, but I'm not going to get you to squat. I'm not going to get you to put 100 kilograms on your back, or a front squat or a back squat, because it's a more of a knee dominant exercise. It's going to affect your knees quite a lot. But what we might do is we might put you on the likes of a leg extension or a reverse lunge, where it's not going to affect your knee joint as much, for example. So that's one little way of doing it, just tweaking the exercise selection for the same muscle group that you're trying to target, just in a different way. Same if you come to me and go, listen, I have pain when I bench press, but I don't want to chest press. Why would you go and bench press? You just go and chest press. Or you might go, okay, I can't put load for my wrist, I've hurt my wrist, I can't do a press up. Okay, what can you do in order to help that? You might want to cup your elbows to do a chest fly. If you're watching this, you'll see me do all mad movements. If you listen to it, tough, go and watch it. But if you cuff your elbows, for example, and you do a cable fly, it's not affecting your wrist at all. The movement's coming from the elbow, or the resistance is coming from the elbow, and you're still attacking your chest. So again, it comes down to what the injury is. You can always work around it. If you are the person listening to this and you've asked me that question, then do drop me a message on Instagram and I'll have a little chat about how that you can work around that. But usually any injury you can sort of work around, apart from the likes of a lower back issue. So basically, again, if you've done surgery and you've been told to rest for 6 weeks, unfortunately, you're best to listen to whoever's prescribed you that. So yeah. And that's the question I've had mainly. I wanted to touch and finish on basically my Friday thoughts for this week. So a lot of things going on again in the media in terms of with lockdown and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into that because it's negative. I don't really watch the news. People just tell me what's going on, and I'd also recommend not watching the news yourself. But yeah, Week's been a solid one. Everyone seems to be absolutely smashing it. September is a weird time for people. It's a time when people, usually just came back off the summer holidays and it's went 1 or 2 ways. They felt really good on holiday because they've worked to get in shape, or they just came back and they don't feel good in themselves, or that trigger's been there from the holiday and they want to make a change. So now is a good time to start. Wouldn't be alone on starting your fitness journey with a coach or with a friend or yourself or whatever in the lead up to Christmas. So people would say that 2020 is a write-off. They're going to be moving the birthdays to next year and all that jazz. But you still got a good 3 months, I think, or 4 months. 3 months, to get to the end of 2020. You can still make serious progress in 12 weeks. My clients can vouch for that. Start now. Just start now. The year's not a write-off. You still got a quarter of the year to absolutely smash your goals. What was the resolution that you set yourself in January? What was the goals that you set yourself earlier in the year before all this happened? And you can still go out there and go and get it. So I'm going to round it up here. Again, nice and short for people listening. I appreciate the people who are listening to this. Again, sorry for being away so long, but we are back with a weekly podcast, promise me. Again, I've recorded this podcast as well, and this will be live on YouTube, so you can go and check that out as well if you like to watch videos. Don't forget to give me a little follow on Instagram, LewisNeil_coaching. If you're ever, after any advice or any coaching from myself, I am still doing bread and butter one-to-one in the gym, but a majority of my work now comes online, so you can be anywhere in the world at any gym, and you can just get that structure, that guidance, that support from myself for the fraction of the price of one-to-one. So if you do anything, reach out to me. Go to lewisneilcoaching.co.uk, check out the website, and there's all information regarding stuff on there. But thank you for listening to the Bagels and Bicep podcast. We will be back with great guests in the coming weeks, with more stuff with me rambling on as well. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to share it as well. It really does help me out. And the likes of subscribe, review it, stuff like that, so you know exactly when a podcast will be out, and it'll be there on your dashboard. So thank you again for listening. Hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend, and I will speak to you very soon. Have a great day.